angående vågan sicken. I'm thanking the Creator for this good spring day, and call this meeting to order at 5:35, and ask my elder, Mary Waters, if she would say and lead us in a word of prayer.
Our Heavenly Father, we look to you this evening with grateful hearts for all you do for us and for your love for us. Father, we thank you for all the blessings that you bestow upon us. We thank you. Father, we just pray that in all that we do and all we say, that you will be with us and help us. Father, we thank you for this meeting. We thank you for the council. We thank you for all the work they do to serve your people. We thank you for each one that has come here this evening. We thank you for their lives and their homes and their families that they represent. Just be with us throughout this evening, and we'll try, Father, to please you and to take care of our people. These things we pray in Jesus' name. Amen.
Roll call.
Chief Chuck Brooks,
Here.
Assistant Chief Bonnie Jo Griffith,
Here.
Secretary Nikki Michael, I'm here. Treasurer Benita Shea,
Here.
Member Annette Ketchum,
Here.
Member Nathan Young,
Here.
Member Michelle Hawley.
Here.
We have a quorum.
Is David McCullough still in the audience here?
Yes.
David, were you wanting to leave early? Or are you going to hang around for our complete council meeting?
You know how late you go. I plan on being here for the whole meeting, yeah.
Okay, great. Well, I'd like to welcome all of our guests and ask our council for a motion to approve the agenda.
Also move.
I'll second it.
Motion's been made and seconded to approve the agenda. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That's unanimous. The minutes of our, I believe it's March the 3rd, isn't it?
I make a motion, we approve the minutes. I'll second.
The motion's been made and seconded to approve the minutes. Did all council members get a chance to read these minutes prior to the meeting? Okay. Is there any additions or corrections?
One of the things I was noticing that on the, let's see, it's page 4. Let's see. Well, it was the one where the appointment of the members that from the council that were on the NAGPR, it's on page 3, that it didn't say that Nikki and I were appointed that night from the tribal council. to that oversight committee for neighborhood historic preservation.
Right, but we did that the next meeting. We actually, we talked about it at this one, and then we appointed us the 17th. So we're in the minutes for the 17th.
Oh, the next is.
Yeah,
the
this was
next-
the third, that was
this
the
is
very
third.
first one, yeah.
Oh, okay. So that's the reason, okay.
Do I hear additional corrections?
Call for question.
Question been called. All in favor of approval of the minutes, please say aye.
Aye.
Are there any opposed? Unanimous. I believe the first item of old business is an economic development report. And I'd ask Tim to come forward, and perhaps David McCullough might even wish to join in after Tim's report, if you'd like to, David. If not, that's okay too.
Good evening. I'm going to report this evening just on two specific items. I apologize for not having the my printed up status reports to you. I'll get them tomorrow to you that basically cover what I'm going to tell you today. And then just say no activity on the other two areas. Number one, David is here today, and we are finishing up the Talk Oaks E2 8A application. He's putting together, basically been here today, putting together some of the documentation that we were needing and getting everybody's signatures. I believe Chief will need to stick around and sign a few more things before we leave. And then from there, that application will be electronically submitted, and then that physical application will be mailed. David, do you have anything to add?
No, that's the process. You have to submit, part of the form you have to do online, and that's submitted electronically. The other 4 inches of that book, the paper in there, is just documentation that's support of the application. And when you submit electronically, you just overnight that package. Yeah.
And we plan to I won't hold you to it, but this will be done today, won't it?
As far as I'm concerned, it's done today, yeah.
Except for those pink tabs that we're going to email in the morning and
Right.
reprint,
Right.
and then that will be ready to
Right. It'll be
mail.
ready, it would actually be ready to mail tomorrow.
It'll be ready to mail, and then tomorrow, you and I will just walk Jim through getting sent, because it needs to come from his
Right.
computer.
Needs to come from here, yes.
So we're going to get it out the door tomorrow, is the short answer.
And that's a very good thing for our tribe. We appreciate y'all's work.
It's a work in progress, so, and then we'll be waiting 90 days, so.
They had 90 days to give us some
Available tomorrow
response,
now.
yes.
Email, that's come from his computer.
Yeah, it needs to come from the tribe's IP address.
Are there any questions from the council about this closure on, or I guess we can't call it a closure, but we're getting the application turned in at any rate. And I'd like to congratulate Tim and David on
Well, don't do
the
that.
hard work that
Don't do
went
that.
into it.
Talk Oaks E2, I want to say we, but it's mostly been Jimmy and I. We're about 70% done with a tarot application. which is basically all the information that's in that book for the Cherokee bidding process to be able to bid on some of their contracts, which 2 months ago we had a meeting with, and they've asked us, and we discussed about some areas of contract where we can get some work to kind of help boost us. We plan to have that submitted before the next tribal council meeting. Jimmy and I are going to run it by David just to let him glance at it real quick and then put it together and hand walk it through. Their AG is going to help us walk that through, and we plan to do that, have that at least submitted before the next tribal council meeting, because there are some things coming up. Also, as it relates to Talk Oaks E2, we spoke with a lady at Grand Gateway who believes there are some opportunities coming up for Talk Oaks E2 to be in the bidding process of some wastewater projects that she's going to get us in the loop and in the profile for, and Miss Holly has been the lead on getting that set up.
Tim, I just while this is an application with the Taro tribe, with the Cherokee, once we receive that can pretty much be used across the board. Now, some of the larger tribes have their own Taro and require you to go through theirs, but a lot of smaller and medium tribes will recognize Taros, will recognize these certifications from other tribes. So it isn't just limited to Cherokee. There's actually would be a lot of opportunities in Indian country. The certification kind of runs across the board, yeah.
I just learned something. So I thought it was each tribe had to do it over.
Well,
and
each tribe can have their own, just that all the tribes don't. So the tribes that don't, because it does take some effort. The tribes that don't, a lot of their codes will allow them to recognize
Other
tribal
tribes.
organizations, yeah. So yeah, it's more expensive than that.
Okay, moving on to the hydroponics. On the 16th of last month, we had our in-person meeting with USDA Brian Wiles and Wendell Custard, and yes, he is related. And they basically walked us through what really is our first shot at funding for a hydroponics project. From that meeting, the tribal council then took action and passed a couple of resolutions that allowed us to make that application and for parties to actually work on that application. I'm not a grant writer. Since then, in that meeting, we talked about specifics. We went through the application and the template line by line and kind of got marching orders. Since then, myself, Chip, and Michelle Hawley have been out gathering the pieces of the puzzle. Again this morning, last week we had a meeting with Grand Gateway that Miss Hawley set up. That looks like it's going to be, right out of the gate, there's an opportunity for Talk Oaks, and she is lining up one of the deliverables for that application and is going to work with us continually in the future to kind of line up some other associations from there. Excuse me, she sent us to Judy Snotter from the Miami area economic development.
Judy Snotterly.
Snotterly, which I had a meeting with this morning and described the project. She gave us another building as an option. One of the things that's a deliverable is where you're going to put this thing. And we had at least 3 options, not lease options, but people that say, yes, you can have our space, or yes, we will build the suit. From there, she went on to say that she would help fulfill 4 of our other deliverables. vegetables on that grant, which are letters from the First National Bank, from the city manager, from her organization, and from the county commissioner in that county to support the project. She went on to say, once we got the application in, she would organize a meeting with someone who is on her board that manufactures mushrooms, that grows mushrooms in Miami. You may have heard of it, J&M Farms. They're huge. If you ever go by to Walmart and buy the mushrooms there, it says J&M Farms on it. They're in Miami. They have just started a new vegetable packaging and sales and transportation division where they are buying fresh vegetables, packaging and selling them. Right now they've started with carrots and onions, and she believes there's an opportunity for us to sell them and them come get them, store them, sell them, package them, and transport them, because they have a fleet of 31 trucks where they transport mushrooms all over the world. When I get home this evening, I received Friday about 50 or 60 pages of things that I was converting from PDF to a Word doc so that the grant writing team can start pulling things out of the existing business plan that got the plant going in South Carolina. And after speaking with Michelle, she wants me just to go ahead and forward those and let you guys start twisting the words instead of me doing that. So I'll do that when I get home this evening, and then you can say, because you won't use the whole business plan, obviously, because you're going to pull what you want out of it and stick it in there. What I will say is we're going to have to back down the financials, so when you see the numbers, don't go, oh my gosh, because we're just going to back into our 1 million on it's got to be under 50 employees and under 1 million, so we'll dial that back, and I'm going to need a few days to do that. But for the rest of it, you'll have it, including a training manual, what you do when you get there, all the way to what when you leave, food handling, all of the OSHA and the federal packaging and growing of handling, producing indoors, which again we won't need for the application, but we'll need to actually do the work. So.
And for those who might have had a problem with the word twisted, the words, actually he just means change them to fit our circumstance. So I don't want that to be misinterpreted.
Wordsmithing.
That's it. And we do have individuals who like to twist our words. So. Titus has his hand up, Chief.
Titus Frenchman.
One quick question. Who's your primary workforce going to come from? Where will it come from?
That's a good question. You know, with workforces, sometimes you never know. We're going to use Indian preference, and you know, we're going to educate. We have a training manual. You won't need to have a degree. It's going to start people out from $15 to $17 an hour, and we'll train them. So if they have transportation and could show up and work, and we're going to use Indian preference first. And I'm looking at.
Well, it actually asks for Delaware preference first,
Yeah,
and then
I'm
the
sorry.
second tier is Indian preference. So we have a number that we pulled out to show how many Delawares are actually up there as well.
Do you know, what is that?
Roughly about 187 tribal members. That was in Ottawa County.
What age group?
We didn't filter it down to, 18 and older. Well, now I can't say that. I don't know. I didn't ask the enrollment department to specify that information, but we can have that by the next meeting if you'd like.
Yeah. The reason I'm asking is the economic development is excellent. We need that. But 25 years ago, I proposed to the council at one time to do a tribal-wide survey I called Cherokee, Choctaw, Chickasaw Creeks, find out how they get their grants passed so easily. Basically what they did is go to OU and have a survey instrument developed. The committee or group down there then trained people how to administer that instrument, how to fill it out, how to interpret it. They in turn put it into a booklet form, published it or printed it. So what they got as tribes was one booklet identifying who the tribe is, what the age groups are, what your population base in a given county is, what the education level is, what the income level is. Therefore, you have an idea of what your workforce could be. Plus, when you submit an application for funding or a grant, you throw the booklet down and it covers everything.
Well, that's a great point, and I'll just back up and say, one of the other numbers we didn't talk about is it's going to start, it'll hire 15 people immediately. And then into the second year, 30, when you find the right people, obviously. But going back to what you said, with some of the training, if you will, that we went through on the 16th was the site that we needed to go to see the demographic that we needed. Because these grants, you're correct, score better if they're in the right county, if they have the right median income, strike force, hub zone. And so those are all things that we discussed on the 16th, and USDA is helping us. They're actually going to score our package for us before we send it off. So while we do not have that elaborate setup, that I know that this tribal council is, in the future looking to do for this tribe, the USDA is kind of helping us piece those things together specifically for this grant, because it is a competitive grant, and they're trying to help us.
Just like to point out one thing, in regard to that survey instrument identifying who your people are, it came to the cost of something like $10,000 to have that done. But a $10,000 investment for a $1 million grant is a drop in the bucket. So that's something we might be able to get a grant to do, to produce something like that.
Well, I'll leave that to the grant writers.
Yay. Thank you.
All right.
David, do you have anything to say?
Thanks, Tim.
You bet.
David?
Thank you.
I think it's all covered. I'll be happy to answer any question.
I thank Tim and David for the good reports. We had a resolution of 2015-21 that was tabled at a prior meeting, and that's why it's on the agenda under unfinished business.
Yeah, it's under the inserts, and I believe we're still going to table it because nobody has really done any research on it. It's going to get tabled probably for a while until we can figure out if telecommunication can work for any tribal council members to attend.
Yeah, I think someone mentioned we may have to change the Constitution and stuff, so I think there's a bunch of upfront work we've got to do before we can pass the resolution.
And having the technology.
I think that we just need to table it until the
Indefinitely.
time, table it indefinitely.
I would move to table it indefinitely until the motion is made to remove it from the table, and would make such a motion.
Motion been made to table indefinitely or until it's motion to take it off the table. Do I hear a second?
I'll second the motion.
Motion's been made and seconded. Is there any discussion? If not, all in favor of the table, please say aye.
Aye.
Is there any opposed? Could the secretary read the proposed travel policy?
A resolution of the Tribal Council of the Delaware Tribe of Indians to authorize the completion and submittal of the Cherokee Nation sorry. I'll get there.
Oh, you have, I'm sorry.
I just move that we would adopt the travel policy.
Okay, so you- Delaware Tribe of Indians Tribal Council Travel Policy.
I would just move that we would adopt it. And no need to read the whole.
Okay.
Motion been made to adopt the travel policy. I do have it here in front of me.
Yeah. I just think we go ahead and read it, Nate, I'm sorry.
That's all right.
Okay.
Okay, it is the policy of the Delaware Tribe of Indians to allow elected members of the tribal council to travel on official business. Under this policy, the tribe accepts no responsibility for personal injury or liability. The tribe accepts no responsibility or liability for any personal property, including vehicles. Any and all travel must be approved by the tribal council. Hotel, airlines, and/or conference reservations will be made by the administrative assistant to the chief in coordination with the accounting department. Per diem will not be issued on a one-day travel, but a meal reimbursement will be issued through the accounts payable process after a requisition form or the green sheet with the receipts attached is received. Per diem will be issued for more than 1 day of travel at a rate designated by General Services Administration or the GSA for the destination. Per diem rates can be found at www.gsa.gov. For travel when the mode of transportation is by vehicle, the tribe will provide one of the tribally owned vehicles. If no tribally owned vehicle is available, the traveler may use his or her personal vehicle, and mileage will be paid at the federal mileage reimbursement rate, currently at .575 per mile travel. If a travel vehicle is available and the traveler chooses to take his or her personal vehicle, mileage will not be paid. Those claiming mileage reimbursement should be aware of the mileage cap. The tribe will not pay more than $200 per week or $600 per month, whichever is less for mileage reimbursement. Additionally, for those members living over 25 miles from the Bartlesville headquarters, mileage will be reimbursed on round trips to Bartlesville less than the 50 miles, which other council members are responsible for themselves. No personal items shall be reimbursed through this policy. Any incidental expenses will be processed by the accounts payable process after requisition forms or the green sheet with receipts are received. Any person requesting travel agrees that by making such a request, he/she agrees to adhere to this policy. There's definitions. Travel refers to out-of-town business meetings or destinations. Per diem, per day meal allowances as published by the General Services Administration or GSA. 1 day travel, any travel where you will return the same day you depart. Incidental expenses other than hotels and meals, for example, toll road fees, parking fees, taxi expenses. Personal items not related to business, for example, newspapers, movies, across-the-counter drugs, vehicle repairs, personal phone calls, etc. I think that was over the counter.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
That will be corrected.
Across the counter.
That's insinuated a whole lot.
Yeah, that would be interrupted. Wrong.
My goodness.
Are we ready for my motion?
Yeah.
Now, I move that we adopt the travel policy as presented by the secretary.
Motion's been made and seconded to adopt. Is there any further discussion?
Call for question.
Question's been called. All in favor of adoption of, please say
Aye.
aye. Vote.
One opposed?
It's 6 yes and 1 opposed. Do I hear further or old business?
Chief, I'd just like to update on the lawsuits that have been filed. We did hear back on the 2 different cases. One against Jennifer Potonik because she has not returned our asset. We heard back from her. She petitioned the court to dismiss it. And then the one against former Chief Potonik for the employment contracts that were signed, the 5-year employment contracts. She's petitioned the court to deny those. And so yesterday we did hear back from the court, and I guess it's sort of like a preliminary hearing. I'm not sure exactly what the word would be. Will be May 30th up in Katy at the court for the preliminary hearing, and then a trial dates will be set after that. Charles has got his.
Charles Randall.
Bonnie, or counsel, that will be the hearing, first hearing, will be a findings hearing in case someone has to requisition some information from counsel or find additional information.
Okay, it's a findings hearing instead of preliminary hearing. Okay. Thank you, Judge Randall.
What time was that?
It's 1:30, May 30th is a Saturday, will be the first one, and 3 o'clock will be the second one. It's on the information I emailed to all of you yesterday after we got the information. At the courtroom in Katy.
Do I hear further old business?
What about this Terrell application? Are we going to vote it?
It's down further on.
Where is it
It's
at?
under new business.
Oh, it's under new business, okay.
Is there any further old business? We've got on the agenda report on the retractable steps that have been made for the new vans.
That was something that a person offered to do for the tribe, to help our elders get in and out of those new vans, to donate enough money to have retractable steps put in there. I don't know what they look like or how it works, but this person wanted to do that for the tribe, and I'm just telling you about it. So I don't know what the tribal council's pleasure is.
I think we need to make sure that everyone knows this person wants to remain anonymous.
Yes, that's why I haven't mentioned the name. He wants to remain anonymous. And I don't know whether the tribal manager will just get in touch with that person and how I don't know how to execute that, but we probably should accept the offer if we're going to do it.
Okay. I'll make a motion that we accept the offer of the retractable steps and have the tribal manager take care of working through getting them installed.
I'll second it.
Call for the question.
Motion's been made, seconded, and the question called on acceptance of the a gift, actually, of the trouble, or the steps for the 2 vans. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? I don't. Yes, Charles.
I would like to have the council make it clear to the person that's donating this, how much the elders appreciate that.
Annette, would you make sure you convey that?
I'll convey that. That the person is, realized that he received some inheritance, and he knew that that would make his mother very happy, that the money went to help the elders.
As an example, the trip we took just recently, we had 2 people fall trying to get in and out. So
Wow.
that was-
Yeah, yesterday.
Well, these are extra
We
high
felt it.
too. I'll do that. I'll let.
Dana, you've got on the agenda here, the June 6th Tribal Council visit request from Joey Richard. Could you give us some details on that?
And I do want to say, please excuse my error on the date. It should say June 2nd, and I apologize for that. Good evening, Tribal Council. Please find under your insert tab the bio for Joey Richard and a clipping from the Delaware Indian News about the Inspire pre-college program. I've been in contact with Joey's mother for the last month over the phone. She has let me know that he has been accepted into the program and will be traveling to Washington, D.C. in July. He wants to learn about government and is interested in the United Nations, and he feels that he would like to represent the tribe well and would like permission to attend the June 2nd Tribal Council meeting, which would allow him to experience firsthand what tribal government is truly like and allow him to speak intelligently at the program. He knows this will require a lot of intellectual effort. He will be writing 2 research papers and receiving 3 college credits. His interest in politics, leadership, and service is why he applied for Inspire in the first place. And this is an honor for Joey, and he is looking forward to your response to his request.
Thank you, Dan.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Would somebody make the motion that Mr. Richard be invited to come to the June the 2nd Tribal Council meeting?
I would make that motion, Chief.
I'll second.
The motion's been made and seconded. Is there any discussion?
I just want to say, this used to be the WINS program, and it's turned into the Inspire program. If anybody knows anything about the DC programs, then they would understand what that language is about. But it's developed over the years. It's a very big honor for him to be accepted to this program. Now, there are many, many applicants throughout the nation. So it really surprised me, and I was very excited to hear this news. And it behooves our college students to be able to go out there and really experience government at a primary level. Some of you know that I did this years ago with the Udall Foundation, and I learned so much by just sitting there listening to the congressmen and the senators, things I wouldn't have known had I not gone out there. I thought government was run one way, and I found out it was totally different when I was out there. So we're very excited for him.
Does Joy have any family around this area visiting?
Dana?
I've heard that name Woodall. I didn't know it.
The Kilbutts.
And Gilbert.
internet, it does say that Joey is the grandson of the late Alice and Virgil E. son Tipton Jr. in Springfield, Illinois, and the great-grandson of Lyda W. Woodall and Virgil E. Tipton Sr. in Afton, Oklahoma, and is proudly descended from the Woodall, Marker, and Kilbuck lines.
But I just wondered if any of those relatives of his are here or around this part. I haven't met him. I just wondered if there were any. Has anybody
I'm
met
not
him?
aware of that.
But this is a good sign. Very good sign.
Yes, he's very happy. He's the
Is he in this picture at all?
No, he is not. Just been in contact over the phone and emails with his mother. They're truly excited.
Can you also put him in touch with me?
I have given him your cell phone, or given his mother your cell phone.
We certainly appreciate your keeping up on this and following up on it, Dana.
You're welcome. Thank you very much. They're very excited, so we look forward to it.
That's great.
Okay, thank you.
Call for question.
Question's been called. All in favor of the motion, please say aye.
Aye.
And I know there's no opposition to that. Resolutions.
I was just in a hurry. Okay, resolution 2015-27, and I already turned to the wrong page. Okay, here we go. A resolution of the Tribal Council of the Delaware Tribe of Indians to authorize the completion and submittal of the Cherokee Nation Tarot application. Let's see, go to the whereases. At this time, the Delaware Tribal Council recognizes the need to submit an application to the Cherokee Nation tribe. It's called Tribal Employment Rights Office, that's what TARO stands for, to further the development and the capabilities of Toccoke E2 LLC. Now therefore be it resolved, the Delaware Tribal Council of the Delaware Tribe of Indians does hereby authorize the completion and submittal of the Cherokee Nation TARO application.
Is there any discussion on this resolution?
So this is the first I've heard of this one, so can you explain to me a little bit about what we're doing here?
Tam, can you address that?
Yes, that, when David, excuse me, when we were just briefly, when I was up here earlier, we were talking about the tarot application, and David said, hey, once you get certified there, it works in other tribes. It's a certification of Indian businesses, Indian-owned, Indian-operated businesses. That goes through, proof of, who you are, where you are, the work you do, your certifications, and then they go through some validation process, and then that allows you to bid on jobs that no others can get. Not unlike the SBA. This is just for Indian tribes. This specific one is something that the Cherokees asked us to do a couple of months ago, so that we could, you guys sat down with them last quarter and said, hey, how can we help? Well, we, this, and oh, by the way, we've got an environmental company. From that meeting, Jimmy and I met with their head of their Cherokee Nation businesses, and we presented Toccoke's and all of the wonderful stuff that Art's put together, the fly sheets, and showed him our capacities. He said, wow, long term we want to work on 8A together, maybe in the Pacific. Short term, we can probably do some perk tests, get you some environmental jobs for their housing department that they're given to someone now. But the first step is to get tarot certified through the Cherokees. And so, I hate to say we put it on the back burner, but we did, because all hands were on the 8A first, and all the information that is in the 8A goes in the taro. And so that's the thing, this resolution has to be in there that says, yes, you guys have given Tacos permission to make that application, to receive that certification, to bid on those jobs.
So the certification goes to Cherokee Nation?
Yes, yes, they will certify us.
Okay.
It's a certification through Cherokee
Through
Nation.
Cherokee Nation?
Or
Yes,
Taco too.
For tacos.
Well, ordinarily, they do it for small businesses, and is for tacos. But it would also, if we had any other companies, we could still put it under the same taro.
No.
We have to have a separate one
No.
for each company.
Yeah, they'll do it for
Big-
businesses, big, small, individuals.
Right.
And it's just Oklahoma.
And what David spoke to is that is also, we could take that certification and bid on the Choctaw job or
Right.
Chickasaw job. or-
Right, it's like Indian preference.
Yeah.
In any employment situation, only cross it over to businesses.
You can't get a job working for the Cherokee Nation unless you have that certification, it doesn't matter.
And a lot of contractors have that.
So the very first step for us was, yeah, we want to work with you if you got a taro. No, but we'll get one. So, like I said, Jimmy and I are 70% done with that and want to get it down there. Now that this is going out the door tomorrow, it'll be all hands on deck on that. And then we'll want to sit down and say, hey, how about those perk tests? Hey, how about the wastewater for the housing authority? Kind of leverage that relationship that you guys have built.
Thank you.
Titus has a question.
Question?
Titus?
A couple questions. One, why can we not develop our own taro program for our tribe, separate from the Cherokee?
MOA.
No,
No, that's
the
not part of our
MOA
MOA.
has nothing to do with taro, and we can if we
Money.
have the money.
Resources, someone to take the application, someone to process it, someone to go out and visit the business, to do the background check, to do the work.
God forbid. Second thing, 6, 7 years ago, I invited the director of Taro program from the Cherokee Nation over here, had lunch with him in a room back there, brought in a couple of Lenape tribal members to talk with him to fill out applications. They visited with him and they walked off and they've never seen him again, or the workers. But the director, he's a friend of mine, used to sing with him. But he's willing to come over here and speak with us, and try and help us out. And he said, you guys ought to develop your own Taro program. Because you're eligible, you can do it, and get your own projects going and keep moving. I was 7 years ago, but I'm glad to see us moving right along. But, yeah, that's my question, is why can't we develop our own?
So this is a faster track to run on, isn't it?
Well, not really. I think what Titus is saying, why don't we get one, as we grow as a tribe and bid out jobs and need things to be built, we'll want to use Indian preference. And I think currently they go through the tribal manager. He makes them jump through some bidding hoops.
Our human resources and our personnel
Yeah.
policies, right?
You have something akin to it. Just the infrastructure, I would say, is not there yet. You're not building.
Yeah, we're not there yet. We do
Yeah.
have the capabilities and the ability, the MOA, that doesn't affect our ability
It
to
would not.
establish a program of our own at
For
all.
Taro at all.
It's just having the employees and creating that program, having the time to do that.
But do
And the
we,
money to fund it.
we don't have to pay for it if we go through Cherokee Nation, is that right?
It's a certification, we still have to pay. How much is it, Tim? $100?
It's $100.
Yeah.
Okay, so it is a better option for the tribe at this time.
Right.
Well, it's a quicker option.
Well, it's quicker and it's less expensive and you get the same benefit from it. Would that be true?
Right.
Literally.
I make a motion that we approve Resolution 2015-27.
I second it.
Motion's been made and seconded. Is there any further discussion?
Call for the question.
Question's been called. All in favor of the motion, please say aye.
Aye.
Are there any opposed? Motion carries unanimously.
Chief, I'll make a motion, we strike the executive session from the agenda.
Motion's been made to strike the executive session on the agenda.
I'd second that motion.
And seconded. Discussion. I actually didn't know that we had an executive session on the agenda.
Well, David asked, and I just said, I don't know, so just, it's better to have it on there and strike it than need it and not have it on there, so.
Right, that's my rule of thumb, unless we're told otherwise, then she's to keep it on there. I mean, you never know, something could happen this morning.
Well, the motion's been made and seconded and
Not that it
discussed.
did.
Nothing happened today.
What happened?
To strike the executive session, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
And I assume there's no opposition to that.
Annette?
I said aye. I said it before everybody else did.
I never did, I guess, well, I can think of one thing we might have missed. Curtis, did you have a report you'd like to make?
Yes, sir.
Chief and Council, I want to report this afternoon at 1:30. Gene Lewis and I met with our contractors, Indian Country Consultants, on the child support grant. I wanted to confirm indeed that we got the award letter. The total federal award that we received was for $361,388. Total budget regarding our indirect costs and matching funds and everything, total budget of $401,542. We did get that approved retroactive to October the 1st, but that also puts us 7 months behind in trying to catch up with our goal of getting our child support enforcement office operational. The meeting that we had was good. We're laying down an action plan. Among other things, I would like to at least get some sort of affirmation or consent for me to continue in my role as the acting director at this time. My plan right now is to go up to the office and start getting a handle on all of the materials that have been pulled together while the program was in the planning stage, and to go back now and submit periodic reports that were due during the body of the grant at this time. I thought we had a good planning meeting to talk about the financial aspects. We will have hiring that needs to be done. And I am, right now, I'm planning on attending 2 different training conferences in the next 5 weeks. One of them is going to be in Norman at the end of this month, with a statewide and then a national-wide Child Support Enforcement Association, where they have training workshops and the like. It was highly recommended by Marsha Harlan with Indian Country Consultants. So that's a brief report on where I'm jumping in the deep water, but I'm anxious and ready to get this thing going, and those are some of our priorities right now, is handling both the employees, the financial aspects, and the reporting aspects to quickly try to get us caught up on child support enforcement. I am not at all. I don't feel like I'm scared at all on handling this thing. I believe we can get we can get caught up. We're gonna have to build a team real quick, but certainly from a staff standpoint, human resources, accounting, and our consultants on both the legal and program side, we feel like we can get it done. So, you know, with, like I said, just even a general nod of assent, I'm going to move forward. Moving on, I wanted to report to you last night, the City of Caney City Council had a meeting, and they've given the mayor the green light to go ahead and begin to talking to property owners about the need to establish a larger water line. And right now, the way things are looking, they'd be cutting a water line right across part of our property in Caney. So my suggestion is, and I have suggested it for some time, I really think it'd be a good idea, Chief, in particular for you, but the council as a whole, to meet with Mayor McClure of Caney and let her meet the new leaders. I would hope that our message is one of assurance that we intend to continue to be a good neighbor in Caney. I will say this, with an existing trust application and the possibility of a water line being cut across our property, if we get that land put in trust, it won't prevent it from happening, but there will be additional legal aspects that would need to be covered if it was trust property and the city is cutting a water line through our property. Personally, I don't believe it's a problem, but I do want to put it on your radar screen here for consideration, and would hope that you get a meeting set up. I'll be glad to work with you, but I think Dana would be certainly capable of Assistant Chief Griffith here. Y'all can get that done.
Curtis, do you have a time frame of when they're supposed to dig the water line? Is there a date?
No,
set
no,
for
I
that?
don't have a time frame. I think that's what Jimmy. I was busy with culture preservation last night. I was busy at culture preservation meeting last night, so I had Jimmy go up. He just gave me a brief report that this is coming, so it would be good to get with the mayor and kind of take a look at. Jimmy didn't report to me a timeline yet, but something is forthcoming. I think they want to increase a 4-inch water line to a larger water line for some coming businesses, and so like I said, if it looks like it's going to be cutting across our property, we better get on the front end of this discussion.
Right, and I think right now they don't have the water pressure to really build their city. So that's what this is about, is just trying to make it just more accessible, easier for companies to do business. So it's just in the very early stages right now.
So are you saying that if our land goes into trust real soon, it will be harder for them to get the...
I think there'll be a few more pieces of paperwork that would need to be signed in order to let that happen. But my initial read of this is, it's something that, you know, I think we would want to be a good cooperative neighbor and allow it to happen. But if it's Indian land, we have a sovereign responsibility to allow that to happen. And that would be a decision for you all to make.
If it's Indian land, it's a decision of the Bureau of Indian Affairs, because they will be the landowners holding it in trust for us.
Holding it in trust for us, yeah. We'll need to be a player in getting the Bureau to do their part. I think it'll be a good thing in the long run.
And I think it'll happen before we have our land in trust, so. Unfortunately, hopefully not, but.
Hopefully not.
But.
The only other thing, Chief, well, I'll just say you're aware of a security breach we had last week on the property. It's being investigated, and we have moved on to make sure that there are more security measures and discussions with the staff about maintaining the security of our workplace. I also want to bring and let you all know that we did get indoor cameras mounted in this very room here. So that is for the safety and security of all people that inhabit this room on a daily basis.
Tim's back there waving at the cameras.
Finally, Chief and members of the council, Chief Brooks called me this morning and informed me, sadly, the passing of Wayne Stoll. We do have the flags at half-staff. I sent out an email to you all, assuming your consent with that request. I would like some direction from the council, how long you want to keep these at half-staff, and we will restore them at that time. I don't have any direction. We just went ahead and lowered them at this time.
I think since the funeral is Friday, we at least keep them at half-staff through the funeral, so I would say till Monday morning. Since the funeral's at 1:30 Friday, then that's the weekend, so I would like to see them at half-staff till Monday at 8 a.m. I'll make that motion.
I'll second it.
The motion has been made and seconded to leave the flags at half-staff until Monday morning. All in favor of the motion, please say aye.
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 Chief, this may be a good time to consider the resolution.
Right.
About
Let's see,
Wayne,
are
so-
you finished, Curtis?
Yes, I'll get started on the van, and then I will, I'm going to put tribal seal on the doors of the vans.
Right.
So I'll get that done.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, Curtis.
And we were wanting to have a resolution, but because of the timeliness of it, it didn't get written, but it would be Resolution 2015-28. We would like to create a resolution. You want to give some wording there, Nate?
Basically to acknowledge and to show our thanks for the over decade of this.
I think it's you,
That-
Bonnie.
Huh?
It's you, Bonnie, of course.
What can I say?
For over the decade of service that he gave to the Delaware tribe. And I would ask that we would adopt such a motion and let the assistant chief to use the language that would be appropriate. We have ordered a wreath and we have prepared a plaque. This gentleman was on the trust board, he was on the DEA board, he was assistant chief. He put in many, many hours for this tribe without any compensation. And as Delawares, we should always be thankful for these individuals who dedicate their time and their service. I've known this gentleman all my life. He's always been a part of my life. I can't remember when I didn't know Wayne Stoll. And I think for somebody like him and for the others in the past, that we should say thank you. And this is one way to do it, is to do a resolution and present it to his wife.
And Nate, also, I believe Chief is being asked to give part of the eulogy. The services will be 1:30 Friday out at Stump Funeral Home. And at that time, we'll have the plaque ready and hopefully this resolution and have it framed to be presented to her.
That's correct.
We,
I'll write that resolution and run it by you before we finish it. You may have to sneak by here and sign it before we take it to get it framed.
So we're voting on it now, right?
Yes.
if,
I thought we just did.
if we,
That was the
Oh, we
flags
didn't
at
vote on it.
half-staff.
Okay.
if we don't vote on it now, we won't get it done.
I'll make that motion.
Okay. I'll second it.
The motion's been made and seconded to prepare a resolution, and the plaque is already in the works, I believe, to approve the resolution and the plaque being presented to Wayne's widow, Joyce Stoll. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
anybody out there, I guess, we haven't gave everybody else in attendance their time for questions or comments. If anybody, any of our guests and tribal members would like to make a comment in closing, you're welcome to.
I think Nikki's got something,
Sorry, Nikki.
and then I do.
I had one thing too I wanted to say.
Okay.
Under new business, the BIA is conducting hearings for the Indian Child Welfare Act. And the closest one to us is coming up on May 14th at the Tulsa Marriott in Southern Hills. That will take place from 1 to 4. For those of you that don't know what our status is as ICWA programs are concerned, we actually have an ICWA grant, but it's not to actually intervene in child welfare cases. It's more to support families who take in child welfare cases. That leaves us in a lurch when it comes to actual proceedings, and we actually just lost I hate to put in those terms, but we had to sign off on a non-intervention letter just this week because we don't have the program capabilities to do that, which is against all the precedents that ICWA sets. So one of the things that we can do to talk about this and explain our situation is go to Congress. And they're actually coming to us. So we need somebody there.
Can you, by chance, go to it, Nikki?
I can go, but I'd like to take my own vehicle.
Okay.
So if the council deems that appropriate, then I'll go.
I think it would be appropriate, because I really do believe we should have somebody there.
Is there some reason you can't take a vehicle for the fleet?
Yeah, because of time constraints for one, and then two is just my back issues.
I don't think it's gonna break our budget to send her 120 miles.
It's in Tulsa, right?
It's in Tulsa.
Yeah.
I promise I won't go anywhere.
What day is it?
The 14th. I mean, and
What
if somebody wants to join me, that's
What
fine
day is
too.
it?
That's a Thursday. I mean, I wouldn't mind having more people go. I mean, the more of a force we have there, the better it's gonna be.
Nikki, is there somebody on the staff that it would be good for them to go?
I think Sasheen would be great.
Yeah, I'd like to suggest, I'll make her available, and I could have her drive or meet you there, whatever, but yeah, if Sasheen could go, she needs all the help, support, and guidance that she can get.
Well, I just think if she rode with you, Nikki, it'd be great.
Sounds good.
Do we need a motion on that?
Well, I'd make a motion we approve Dr. Michael take a personal vehicle.
Do I hear a second for Dr. Michael to take her personal vehicle?
I'll second.
Motion been made and seconded. If there's no discussion, all in favor of the motion, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. I'll ask for opposition, but I don't think there is any. Do I hear, Annette Ketchum, you've got.
Oh, were you saying?
Go ahead, I've got a
Oh,
couple
okay.
things.
I was wondering, is there any chance that we could, since the powwow week is since we're meeting on the 19th or 19th is our next meeting, that we can waive the second meeting of the month and have our financials and everything the first meeting in June? Rather, I mean, would there be any reason why we could not, under the circumstances where, you know, it's a busy time and family and everything coming in?
But I just think that just makes it where members could come to meetings if they want.
I know, but I don't know if they come up here, I mean, you know, I
Well,
don't
but
know that.
at least we've given them the opportunity. I mean, I just think it's a great thing to have a meeting close to the powwow.
Do I,
I make a motion that we not have the meeting on the 19th, the second meeting of the month, for the month of May, due to our pending powwow.
I hear the motion to not have our second meeting of this month. Do I hear a second? Do I hear a second? Then, motion dies and our meeting the second Tuesday, or third Tuesday of this month will go on as usual. And now I won't be able to start walking to the powwow grounds on Tuesday, and that's probably a blessing in disguise.
Well, I wasn't gonna walk.
I don't know if you all know, but Chief is going to attempt to walk from here to the powwow grounds. He walked back a few years back, wasn't it? And so he wants to be the first chief to have walked both directions. So we may be running water out to him or something when he takes off.
We'll have a support team.
Yeah.
We definitely need it.
We'll have a support team.
I'll,
I want to say something. How long is it going to take you?
If you can walk it, you can do it. Chief,
it'll take me 2 days of walking, because I'm probably not up to more than about 4 or 5 hours of walking a day. I'll see if I can camp out in Homer Scott's yard halfway up there. So. Or maybe I'll go ahead and start Tuesday and have somebody pick me up and bring me back to the council meeting and take me back to that spot.
There you go.
How many here plan to be here on that meeting? Is everybody gonna come that night?
I am.
No, I mean out in the audience. Is we gonna have anybody here? Well, nobody knows, I guess, until.
I know for me, I'm actually more exhausted afterwards. And so like, that's my thought process, is that afterwards is like, we're gonna have all that.
Oh, backlog?
Yeah.
Oh.
Okay. Chief, I've got a couple of things. I wanted to mention the trip to the Muncie's, Curtis. We need to maybe have your input on that so that they know on the Muncie trip, the Shakopee, no, not the Shakopees, but the trip to Wisconsin. No, it's not the Shakopees, I'm sorry. It's the Stockbridge Muncie's, and I know we talked about it at the elders, but this trip is open to any tribal members. So you want to just update a little bit? Because we've got to start getting a count together. Probably by June 15th, we're going to, what is the date on that?
The dates of the event are July
22nd.
22nd through the 25th.
6th or something like that. 5th.
And the Elders Committee has been working on a sign-up with their members. Culture Preservation Committee has been working on a sign-up with their members. There are other tribal members at large who are interested in going. My recommendation is that collectively we try to set a June 15th deadline for people who are firmly going to go, so that we can determine the number of people, the mode of transportation, and the per person costs, and try to apportion them out through various funds that the Elders Committee, Culture Preservation Committee has been doing some fundraising. Tribe may have some money, tribal officials, tribal members. We just really need to get a handle on that so we can figure out a budget around it. In addition to that, they want to, the folks up there at Stockbridge Muncie, they want to, they're asking for help and support in putting on a meal one of those evenings. They've asked us here in Bartlesville with Delaware Tribe if we would work with them and provide some funds, some kitchen help, and possibly bring a couple of traditional meals and serve for the Saturday night meal for the group. And then, of course, we'll take our water drum and our cans and that and do our Lenape social dancing and stomp dancing. But the most important thing right now is that we all work and have representatives from Tribal Council, Elders Committee, Cultural Preservation, staff, have a small working group to, like I said, be able to apportion out some costs and be able to determine how everyone is going to travel up there. And hopefully we can provide enough funds to help offset some of the costs while realizing we're probably not going to be able to cover everything, but if we can help out in this offsetting the costs, it would be good to send a delegation. I do know that the folks from Moravian Town, Delaware First Nation, and Ontario, Canada, have indicated they had interested 80 people going up there, 20 from Muncie, Delaware Nation, also up in Canada. So right now, I think we've got a sign up of about, a couple dozen already. That'll more than fill up those vans, I'll tell you that. Trying to put 12 people in a van and go 800 miles, you'd be driving like this, hardly any room for the suitcases, and I don't think that's going to work. So.
Not 12 Delaware. I'm sorry.
We got some healthy people.
The luggage.
Is anybody on the council going on that trip?
I am going, Chad's going. One of the things they've asked is that some dirt and stone be brought from each tribe, so I think it's appropriate to have Chief take the dirt and the stone representing our tribe.
No, I'm not gonna walk to the stop.
I made a sign-up form just for the elders, but if there's anybody in here, it's somewhere on one of the tables on a clipboard. And even if you're not an elder, if you want to sign up, I'll sort out. I know about how old everybody is, so I can sort out who are not elders on it and make another form and add your name. So, but we've got just over a month to get a firm count.
And by the way, we're concurrently working on still trying to find that chaperone for the Delaware Water Gap Camp. We've got 3 young high school students that are firmly wanting to go, but we really need to get that chaperone. I've been talking to Bryce, talked a little bit with Cece. I think I need to go over and talk to the folks back over there at the Boys and Girls Club. I know we've done some recruiting of the kids. We might find a likely chaperone through the Boys and Girls Club. So we're kind of working on that too, although I'm really juggling a lot of stuff right now. I'm going to try to find somebody to handle that between Bryce and some of the other folks around here. We're doing our best to keep up with you all.
Okay.
What I want to ask, what is the policy for Delaware, non-Delaware spouses?
I think a spouse would be included, just like the Delaware.
Okay, yeah, that's
a
what
spouse.
I just wondered if we'd have thought of that element.
But I don't know, it would be my thought that they just be included. If you're married, you don't want to go off and...
Well, they would be included just like a Delaware.
I would think so. I don't know what everybody else's opinion is, but...
I think that's true. I think the spouses should be able to go. As far as if the husband is Delaware, the wife should be able to go, vice versa.
I agree. And somebody told me that the Stockbridge Muncies needed us to come up and show them how to do our cultural dances.
Right, that's why we're going to do stomp dancing.
And also to show them how to make our style of fried bread. And it might be a non-Delaware wife from this area that can show them that, although I understand that Kay Anderson's wanting to go.
So,
and I know Kay can show them how to make fried bread.
Right, during the elder meeting today, Chief, someone here was originally from up that way, and they said they don't make fried bread the way we do. They put yeast in theirs, and so they thought that, and I believe, Curtis, you mentioned the grape dumplings.
Well, they use yeast out there at the Indian church when Miss Wittenberg used to make the bread. It was good.
Okay, thanks, Curtis. I just have a couple of other things, Chief. Most everybody knows they had the grand opening of the clinic at Oshaleta yesterday. The Cherokees did. It's a beautiful, wonderful facility. Everybody had a great time. I can't say enough about it. Hopefully it'll be up and functioning in another week or two. They have some computer glitches they have to work out first, so it's actually not taking appointments at that facility. Also, I would ask for an excused absence at the May 19th meeting. Sherry Ratliff came over and talked to Chief and I, and wanted one of us to go to DC for the Child Care and Development Fund Tribal Child Care Programming meeting, and Chief opted out, so I will be, and this is no cost to our tribe, the Child Care is paying for all of it, but I would ask to be excused from the meeting when you call roll.
I would make such a motion if we need one now, or we can do it then.
I think you can do it then. But I just want to take my minute.
Would anybody in the audience care to ask a question or make a statement? If not, do I hear any further business from the council?
I would make a motion to adjourn.
Can I bring up one thing? I had sent out an email asking, if this is the month of graduation, and I would like to see if we could recognize our tribal graduates from high school and or college, and was wondering if we could possibly get a list and recognize those that are graduating in our Facebook and also the Den. I'm not sure how we go about gathering that information.
I would think, Nikki, could you put that out on the website and in the DIN, and on Facebook, that anybody who has a child, I think Bear Tompkins may be graduating from high school.
Yes, Bear's one,
And Hayden.
is graduating.
Unless you
No,
get
we
kicked
have
out of
more.
school.
What is that? What was the young man from someplace around here that was a Boy Scout?
He's a junior, he's not a senior.
Oh, he's not a,
No.
oh.
He's just a junior.
Okay.
I'd be glad to. I think it's a good start, just to recognize them. And I also, in the future, would like to begin doing some ceremonial kind of recognition as well. Other tribes do it. They've been doing it for 20 years. We have not recognized ours, and I think it's time we did.
Just a little recognition of how.
Just get it started this year. Get it started. Next year it grows.
Well, since it's not a tribal powwow, the tribe doesn't have the say
I
up
know,
there. We'd have to ask them. I think they'd be agreeable, but we
That's
can't
why we
just.
don't want to close the meeting and it wasn't tribal power. Okay, I'll second the motion to adjourn.
Motion been made and seconded to adjourn. We're adjourned.